Welcome to Empower to Live by Design, where knowledge is power, application is key, and Jesus is Lord. I'm your host, Keisha Lawrence, and I welcome you back to another segment with Real Talk for Real People. I want to highlight with you this afternoon or this evening my book, Don't Curse Your Crisis, that came to bookstores in January just of this year. Don't Curse Your Crisis. It became the #1 Amazon bestseller in 3 different categories. We are so proud of this book because testimonies are coming around from so many different places from people that have read this book. And it has blessed them tremendously. I know that it will be a blessing to you, or for someone that you know. Buy it as a gift. I want you to get this. You can go on my website at empowertolivebydesign.com and go to the products section, and you can order your very own copy. It's only $20 plus $4 for shipping and handling. Also, you want to get your copy because I'm getting ready to do a book club with Don't Curse Your Crisis. So if you're interested in possibly becoming one of our guests with the coming on the episode to discuss Don't Curse Your Crisis as part of our book club, you can send me a note on my website at empowertolivebydesign.com, or you can even email me at empowertolivebydesign@gmail.com. Again, Don't Curse Your Crisis. The testimonies are rolling in. You don't want to miss out on this. There is nothing new under the sun. So you may be out there going through a very hard time and you feel like you're out there all by yourself. Let me tell you, there is nothing that you have gone through or is going through that someone hasn't already experienced, and it's okay. You're not by yourself. There's other that has experienced what you have experienced, and they've come out on the other side and they're better off for it. And you can be too. Get your copy of Don't Curse Your Crisis. And then email me. Let me know how it's blessed you, how it's affected you, because it's a blessing to us. These authors that were brave enough to put their stories, that laid out their heart for everyone to read. It is very important for us to hear back from you how it affected you. So again, go ahead and order your copy. Well, tonight we're supposed to be talking about the roles of a dysfunctional family. However, I switched it up just a little bit. But let me tell you, I put it on when I put it out on Facebook that I was coming on live today at 8:30. I'm live every first and third Friday via Facebook and YouTube. Make sure that you like, tag, share, send it to someone. If you know of someone that's going through a difficult time in their life, please send this to them. Let them get some information. Let them gather some knowledge that's going to empower them. Let them gather some information that's going to hold them up, that's going to do something to them in the inside, that's going to shake off some things, that's going to allow them to be able to soar. It's going to release some weights. It's going to let them know that they're not by themselves. You know that there is strength in numbers, and that's what we're doing. In numbers there is power. So we want to empower some people. Let them know that this episode, Empower to Live by Design, is out there for them. If you have questions, comments, go ahead and put that on there so that we can. And if there's something particular that you have a question about that you might want to see on one of the episodes, go ahead and put that in a comment as well. But we were talking about the roles of a dysfunctional family. And let me read this. A dysfunctional family is a family in which conflict, misbehavior, and often child neglect or abuse. And it's not just child abuse, it just abuse, period, that's in the family that may go on. It could have just happened once, or it could be a long-term thing that's going on in the family. And it leads other members to accommodate for what's not being taken in the family. The typical traditional family is there's a father, there's a mother, and then there's children. The father has a specific role that he plays in the house, and I think we'll talk about that in another episode. The father has a specific role, the mother has a specific role, and the children play a specific role. And if any one of those roles are not fulfilled due to whatever, it could be the loss or death of a parent, or the loss or the death of a sibling, anything that's traumatic. See, what we tend to get mixed up is, when we think of trauma, we think of someone being physically beat, or something like that. It doesn't always. Sometimes it can come from loss. If you've done any study with psychology, Abraham Maslow was a psychologist way back, and he came up with what he termed Maslow hierarchy of needs. And what that says is, the person, when they don't get their basic needs met, there causes some type of trauma in their life. And so if you go back to, so the basis of his is, the very first thing that a person need is they need food, clothing, and shelter. So for example, if you were growing up and you didn't have enough food, now you're an adult, but you still have this fear of not having enough food, it could cause you to hoard. It could cause you to overeat. It can cause a dysfunctional behavior in you, because in the back of your head, the back of your mind somewhere, you have the fear that I may not have enough. I may have to go without. So I'm going to get what I can get now. And so that's what Maslow was talking about, that when you don't get your basic needs met, that somehow you try to fill that in with something else. And the second thing is 5 tiers. The first is your basis. Basic is you need food, clothes, and shelter. Then he said you need safety. You want to be in a place where you feel safe. Excuse me. And then there's relationships. You want a sense of belonging and love. When you don't have that sense of belonging and love, then you have, you experience feelings of rejection. You may become emotionally detached. We talked about the failure to thrive syndrome before. The next one is esteem. And then the very top thing is, once you have all of these needs met, you get to a place what we call self-actualization. That means that now you have become the best you that you can be. This doesn't mean that you're perfect. It just means that now you are a healthy individual. And that's what we're striving towards. We want you to be emotionally, mentally, and even physically healthy, that now you are empowered to go on and live a wonderful life. But until you understand the effects that some of the trauma that has happened in your family, until you understand how that guides, dictates your decision making, your emotions, your triggers, it's harder for you to get to that place of self-actualization until you take a self-assessment of yourself. Until you see that some of the behaviors that you have, they're not quite what you should be doing. Say, for instance, you may have, if you ever heard of unwritten family rules. Most families have unwritten rules. No one ever have to tell you don't do something. It just becomes the norm. Or you may have heard the term that what happens in this house stays in this house. So sometimes you, within a family unit, these unwritten family rules will dictate how the family relate to each other. So in a dysfunctional family, if you have an absentee father, or whether it's he's not there or he's not emotionally there due to trauma, abuse, he's not engrafted in the family, and then one of the children will step up and try to take care of the things that the father didn't do. And typically this role is called the hero role. The hero wants to step in, and then he starts taking care of everyone in the family. So he may be a young boy, maybe he's 10 or 12, and he's acting like he's the man of the house. He feels like it's his responsibility to take care of everyone. And so if you study out these different dysfunctional roles, family roles, depending on who you're looking at, you can find anywhere between 4 and maybe 12 different characteristics, 12 different roles that can kind of come out of living in a traumatic family, a family where everyone has experienced trauma. And so one of the things that I wanted to discuss tonight was the imposter syndrome. I thought this was particularly interesting. For one, is because a study was done, just conducted in 2022, and 75% of female executives in various different industries have experienced what we term imposter syndrome. And they said that it's even higher than that among women of color. So an imposter syndrome is the feeling that someone is going to find you out, that you really don't know what you're doing. It doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter what your accomplishment, your achievements are. It doesn't matter how far you've climbed in the corporate ladder or in whatever field that you're in. There's something internalized in you that's telling you that you are a fraud. You are a fake. And sooner or later, someone is going to find out that you really don't know what you're talking about. Now, if you listen to that, that really doesn't make any sense. It's not logical, because if you did not know what you were doing, how are you able to continue to achieve success? How are you able to climb that corporate ladder? How are you able to lead all of these people? How are you able to complete this project if you don't know what you're doing? So there's a disconnect between your ability to do and then who you are. So an imposter syndrome says it's defined as a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, their talents, or accomplishments, and has a persistent, internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. An internalized fear of being a fraud. So I said before in a segment that it doesn't matter so much as what other people say about you as it does what you say about you. That African proverb that I learned that says, if the enemy if there's no enemy within, the enemy without can do you no harm. Most of the time, we're more deadly to ourselves than what other people are, because of what we say and what we think about ourselves. And so as people that suffers from the imposter syndrome, again, they said it's internalized. So what it does is some of the symptoms, some of the things that people internalize and deal with is guilt. They feel guilty that somehow they've obtained this success that they don't deserve. They feel ashamed. They feel shame, like I'm cheating this people. I'm defrauding everyone around me, even my family. They have this severe a feeling of inadequacy, that no matter how great they do something, no matter how much their accomplishment, no matter what they achieve, they still feel a sense of inadequacy and an immense fear of being discovered and rejected. So the whole internalized fear of feeling like an imposter is, once someone finds out that I'm a fraud, that I'm not who they think I am, they're going to reject me. That deep-seated rejection happens to children or adults that have been in traumatic relationships. And so we want you to understand the effects of that. How does that come in? Because I've heard people say, so I know what the Bible says about me. I know intellectually, that it doesn't make sense. I know intellectually that I'm successful. I know because I've trained all of these people, because I can do so many different things intellectually, logically. I know that. But where does this internalized deep feeling of being inadequate comes from? We'll go back to Maslow hierarchy of needs. So as you were growing, did you have your basic needs met? Did you have food, shelter, and clothing? Did you have a sense of security and love? Did you have these things on this tier of this hierarchy of needs as you were growing to give you an internalized sense of security versus an internalized sense of feeling like a fraud? So somewhere along the line, you didn't get a basic need met. And if your basic needs aren't met, you will never get to a place of self-actualization. You will never get to a place where you truly just love you. You'll never get to a place of peace and satisfaction because there's some steps missing in your ladder. There were some rungs that were skipped during your growth process. So now you are an adult, but you're still thinking, feeling emotionally as that 5-year-old, that 9-year-old, that 12-year-old of when that abuse took place in your life, that you've internalized something other than what is true. Another role in a dysfunctional family that goes along with imposter syndrome, in my opinion, I'm not a psychologist, but in my opinion, is the lost child. And I particularly have paid a lot of attention to the lost child because I feel like I experienced the syndrome of a lost child in my life. And so when I grew up and I came to an understanding that I felt that I was missing something, I went out looking for a person to help fill that need. And unfortunately, when you grow up, when you're traumatized as a child and now you're an adult and you have this need, it's not another person that you're going to have to run to get that need fulfilled. The human soul is so vast that if we try to stick a person in there to fulfill that need, that person will be lost. And so you'll see, if you've had any friends, or maybe you've been in a relationship and the person say, I feel smothered. I just couldn't take it anymore. The person was too needy. It's like they were killing the person that they say they love because they had such a great need that they thought that they could get another person to fill that longing. They could get another person to fill that hole in their soul. Some people, they don't reach out to other people. Some people, they self-medicate. They're looking for something that's going to help them feel better. And so in my case, I was looking for someone to help me feel better. And when I discovered that person not only wasn't going to fulfill the need that I felt that I needed, and then I understood that they didn't have to give what it was that I need, I went seeking, because what did I say? This show is not for everybody. It is for people that are ready, that are seeking the truth. Because when you're ready for the truth, you'll find the truth. And at that time, I was looking for truth. And what I was told, now this came from God, my Father. He told me that there was a little girl inside of me that was still crying, and I could see her. I had a vision of her, and she was kind of balled up, and she was scared, and she just wanted to be loved. And he told me, you have to learn how to love the little girl inside of you. You have to nurture her. You have to help her grow up. It's nobody else's responsibility. And so for some people that have experienced trauma, you know, you have to find somehow to get past the pain, because once you can get a little bit of past the pain, then you can start to see clearer. You can start to think clearer. You can stop blaming everyone else, everyone around you, for how you feel, for you being miserable, for you lacking, for your emotions of jealousy, for your resentment. It's always something that someone else, for your anger. You know, you can see, okay, all of this is stuff that has been internalized in me. So now where do I go from here? Now that I recognize that the problem isn't the people around me, it doesn't matter what they're doing, whether what they did was right or not. The problem isn't the people around me. The problem is what I have internalized. How do I turn around all of the negative, dysfunctional feelings, emotions, identities that I have taken on that don't belong to me, but I've somehow internalized unknowingly? How do I identify those things? And now, how do I turn that around? So that's where we are now. We're identifying some things that are in us. Were you abused as a child? Did you grow up in a house of abuse? You know, you don't have to be verbally, physically abused or attacked to have been abused, to have been traumatized. If you're in that situation, it's going to affect you somehow. So you don't have to be the one that was actually hit on, but did you witness it? It will affect you. So now I had to learn how to love the little girl inside of me. So when my little girl tells me that I'm feeling lonely, do I stuff that feeling down? Or when this little girl inside of me is saying, I feel rejected. No one invited me. No one's noticing me. What do I do? Now I have the responsibility to be the adult. If you had an adult in your life that didn't do what they were supposed to do, they didn't protect you, they didn't love you, it's your turn now. It's your turn to be the adult, and it's your turn to do better. It's your turn to love you. It's your turn to make sure that you hug yourself so that you won't have this failure to thrive syndrome. It's your responsibility to talk to that little girl or that little boy inside of you and to comfort them, to let them know that they are okay, to let them know that they're not an imposter, to let them know that the things that they're doing, it is enough, that what they do is enough, and that they are enough. You have to, it is your responsibility. You have to let go of everything and everybody that have done anything to you, everything that didn't go the way that you wanted to go in your life. You let that go now. No more victim mentality. We're victors because what happened back then didn't kill us. So now it's our turn to nurture the imposter that's in us, or the thing inside of us that tells us that we're an imposter. It's our turn to nurture that little girl that didn't get to grow up. We can't stay little girls. You can't be 50 years old and still acting like you're 12. You just can't do it. Not if you want to get to self-actualization. Not if you really want to have true joy, true peace, true happiness. Now you have the responsibility. What did I say? It's time to put the hard hat on. It's time to do the hard work. No one is going to do it for you. No one is going to love you better than you love you. If you don't love you, why should someone else love you? You have to love yourself enough to say, no, I'm not going to be the hero. No, I don't have to take care of everybody else. No, I'm not going to be the scapegoat. I'm not going to be the one that every time something is wrong, I let everybody dump it on me. I'm not taking it. No, I'm not going to be the mascot. I don't have to be the one, the peacemaker that come in to try to make everything all good between everybody. I don't have to do that anymore. I just have to be me. And I have to be okay with that. So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. If you feel like you're an imposter, sit down and weigh. There's a difference between what you feel and what really is. So look at, write down, take some notes, write down, what have you achieved? What have you accomplished in life? And then go back, like I said, ask yourself those 7 whys. Why do you feel like you're an imposter? Get to the root of when that thing set in that told you that you really didn't know what you were doing, that what you did, what you're doing really isn't good enough. Why do you feel that way? And once you get down to the why, you renounce that thing. You have options. Thank you, Nicholas. You have options. You don't have to accept that feeling anymore. It may come, but you don't have to let it sit there. Replace it with something positive. Practice positive self-talk. Sometimes we will say things to our own selves that we wouldn't even say to another person. Be kind to yourself because you deserve it. Because you are special, because you are worthy, and you are going to have a great life. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't give in a towel. The best is yet to come for you. I believe it. I believe it for you, that you are going to have a wonderful life. Even if you have a good life now, greater is coming. It's right around the corner, and it is for you. So I just want to thank you for tuning in tonight to Empowered to Live by Design. We're here for you. We're building our self-esteem. We're uncovering dysfunctional emotions. We're opening up the door so that we can see ourselves, that we can grow. We're going to have healthy relationships in our families. We're going to have healthy relationship with ourselves. We're going to eat better. We're going to take better care of ourselves. We're going to have better relationships in our professional lives so that we can climb, that we can soar, that we can do exactly whatever it is that we want to be, whatever it is that we want to have in our career. It is ours. We're going to build successful relationship with our finances. And I cannot wait till we get to the segment to talk about, are you in relationship with your finances? What is your first memory of money? I cannot wait, because you have to be good steward of all the things that are about to be poured into your life. So again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining Empowered to Live by Design. I want to see you back here in 2 weeks, the first Friday of April. We're going to come together and we're going to learn. We're going to gather some more knowledge, and we're going to apply this to our lives so that we can design the life that is specifically best for us. All right. Have a great evening, and I will see you next time.